Today we are going to work on the log burner.
So it is coming off, but it is messy and it is fairly labour intensive. I managed to borrow a heat gun and I've got a scraper and I'm trying to bubble the paint and then flip it off. So I don't think it's the hottest of heat guns. Couldn't grab me a wire brush, could you?
So we've taken off all the paint. Bit of labour involved in that.
And the solvent I found that says that it will strip paint. Cleaning it. No, I don't think it's really working, but it is taking off the loose paint and the dust that we've left everywhere, which helps right away. Well, we started with scraping it down and we put a lot of effort into that. We tried solving it off, we just had a bit of tidy up so I get some of the rusty bits off. And then it struck me as going, perhaps look for one of these. So I've put a wire brush attachment in this power gel and I'm going to see if I can make a bit more of a dent on the last bit. See how it goes. Rusty bit in here.
Really good.
Much better. Well, it's clearly not gas tight. We've tried using this sort of heat-proof silicone a few times and it's not been particularly successful. It's done alright at sealing initially, but after a while it just cracks and dries and kind of falls out. And so I know it's not really orthodox to be sealing up a fireplace while it's got a little fire in it, but we thought, well, it can't hurt. We'll probably end up doing it again at some point. Alright, last time when we made the flute we were limited with bits of spiral ducting. We had what we were given and we had to make it out of that. And the issue that I had last time is that the pipes are sort of female, but both ends of the male bits of spiral ducting are male. And now when joining these together, well, I realised yesterday that what I could have done is taken a slice of this piece of piping, put that into here, and these two male pieces would have gone together nicely. However, I didn't realise that at the time. I haven't done anything with ducting before, so in sort of brute force style, I just managed to fit one of these inside one of here and just covered it in stuff so that it wouldn't leak so much. Not exactly ideal. But the issues that we've been having, I think it's because of this bend, but the gases from the log burner seem to get too cool somewhere up in this part of the pipe and they condense, and when they do, water runs down the inside of the flue pipe, and where this section here is male and it goes up into here, the water running down the pipe just comes out the edge and has been dripping off onto the log burner. After yesterday's playing around with the flue pipe, as you saw, it's not particularly gas tight, it's not particularly watertight, and we're still sort of umming and ahhing as to really whether or not you should be using spiral ducting as flue pipe. Now, it seems it does work fine, and I think I'd probably use it if it was going to be I don't know, maybe heating an outside space that I wasn't going to be in very often. But it doesn't inspire a huge amount of confidence when it comes to flue piping in a sort of dwelling, really. So we did some costings last night, and we found some other flue pipe that we can get on eBay, and so we have ordered that flue pipe, and we will carry on again with the log burner when that arrives. We're in the caravan after a day of doing little bits and pieces in the van. Had a lot of fun. You probably see it in the other video, but I just thought I'd show what we're up to this evening. We're watching the documentary The Reality of Truth, which I've got to give it to personalised advertising. It was actually suggested on YouTube, so that's quite interesting. It was about spiritual transcendence, and in doing so I've made a giant mince pie, and Sadie is decorating something for the van.
Painting our box. There you go, metallic gold paint, which is going to be a theme throughout, ideally.
Watch this space. Back to the van build. In our van we used recycled ply, something that had been used in the previous conversion. Now, upside of that was obviously it didn't cost anything. The downside was it had other things already been cut in it. So some of those things were plug sockets, which have a pretty standard size. But we've actually left a space in the wall and had a photograph tucked in the space where the plug socket would go. So the other day when I got back from work, I just put together this little frame, which is made out of these scraps of trellis. They were all together like this with little nails. It's a kind of like little screen that you either grow plants up or might put in a window box or something similar. So I've just given it a little sand. I'm thinking about varnishing it, but I might just wax it instead, and then I'll be putting it up in the van. So this is the space I was talking about. As you can see, just the right size for a plug socket or for a photograph. Hello Ryan and Hugh if you're out there. So the cat's now calmed down a bit. We're going to have another go at doing this picture frame. So what I just went and dug out from the van was this. This is a little mixture I made up a while ago when I was looking for a food safe covering for some things I was making out of wood. And I came across this sort of pretty easy natural recipe, which was just coconut oil and beeswax. And it ends up coming out looking a bit like this. In there I've got a bit of a rag which I use for applying it to things. There are some different opinions over which oils should be used with wood. Some of them can spoil over time. I really like this combination of coconut oil and beeswax. It smells lovely and it brings out a lovely shine in the wood. So I've got like one of my bits here. I've sanded it off a bit, obviously still got some nice like rough cut marks. I've left the back of this piece a little bit rougher, so hopefully it will have a good key for the adhesion. I'm going to use contact adhesive to stick it on. So I'm just going to take this rag, put a bit on here. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to protect it. It is on the edge of the kitchen, so I'm thinking there's a possibility it could suck up a bit of moisture, could end up getting a bit damp in some time. So I just wanted to protect the edges and also get a little more of a finished look. Okay, so now that I've done that, you might be able to see it's got a bit more of a shine to it. Not much, but just a little bit. And repeat that with your other ones. This really brings up the grain in your wood. And the way I made this stuff is I just had a jar of coconut wax I'd taken probably a big spoonful out the top of, and then I chucked in a small beeswax candle that my auntie made sometime. Like they got some bees and occasionally they've made some candles. And she donated one for my wood project. So I melted it down with this coconut oil, very, very gentle heat in a pan of water, and just stirred it together. One of the crucial parts is while it's setting, so once it started cooling, to just give it a stir. I think it's every half an hour or so, just while it's cooling, to just help it not separate so much. Alright, and we've got our 4 edges ready to stick on in the van. I've got the contact adhesive. I can't find a paintbrush, so I can see some gloves, so I might just have a go with some gloves. This could be really messy. So I'm going to take a bit here. apply a bit to the back. Right, I'm going to go and apply a bit more in the fan where I'm going to put it around the edge of the picture frame. Right, so while we're waiting for that to just get a little bit tacky, I'll give us a minute to do something else. And today what I'm going to do is replace the back of a switch for our amp. I think it will look quite nice with these. And you can just see the contact adhesive around the outside of this here picture. So in the meantime, this is how the switch ended up. It's just a random offcut of tone and groove with the sort of, I think it's an earring on it. Yeah, I'm going to take that off and we've drilled a hole in the other one. So you want to keep this bit safe, this bit's really important. I've now got that front panel of the switch off. I'm going to put this little ring somewhere safe and go and cut like maybe a 10mm hole, maybe a bit more, in my piece of wood. Okay, so now we've got a nice hole in our piece of wood and we can put that on the switch. There we go, straight on. Right, we'll put the little ring on and we'll see what it looks like. That's much better, isn't it? Alright, I reckon our contact adhesive is probably going to be about ready to go on now. Okay, I've got my pieces here. Been a couple of minutes, so it should be a good time to adhere. And there you have it. I was just doing some little bits today and I thought I'd just show you all what I'm up to. So here is a quick and free way to stop your drawers sliding out while you're on the road. Right, we made these drawers ages ago. They're great, they're really cheap. They're just bits of pallet wood, 4 pieces, and then they're all screwed into a ply base, and they've made great strong drawers. They're not the lightest option, but they were free, and well, I say free, we found the screws, the wood was reclaimed or salvaged out of skips, everything else. So anyway, these drawers kept flying out all over the van, and it always ended up being just one of those things where you'd go in, you'd put the drawer back in its place, and you'd forget all about it until the next time the drawer fell out, where the first thing you would do was go and put it back and forget all about it again. This has been going on for long enough, and now that we've got this workshop space, we've got the time to do it. I'm going to update them. So what I've done so far is I've removed my shelf from in the van. I've used a hole saw to do 2 holes. Now before taking it out, I marked on here just sort of whereabouts the drawers sit. I'm not too worried about them being in the exact places, but just to give a rough idea of where they are. So now that I've done this, I can put my drawers on here, line them up, and then using the inside of the bit that I just cut out with the hole saw, I can file off the edges, and I can then screw this to the bottom to make a bit that it sits into, stops it from sliding out. I filed off the edges so they're a little bit smoother. I've lined up my first box, and now I'm just going to go underneath it. I'm going to put the pen through the hole and just mark on the drawer where the circle is. Now that that's there, I can take this over, using this, I can line this up, grab a couple of screws and screw it in position. Right, now that that's on, give it a little test, put it on our shelf. As you can see, it now fits in, it doesn't slide out. Now that both of my drawers have the little outline bits put in here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a file and I'm just going to file off this back edge so that when you're pushing the drawer back in, it doesn't hit such quite a hard bit. Hopefully this will protect the shelf from just getting smashed to bits by this getting sort of pushed in.